festival they're there, and I see them sort of occasionally, but it is nice to see other performers because we used to just hang out all the time. There was a thing called the open mic night. Was it open mic night? No, called it something else. New material night. That's what we call it. Just every other Monday it was called, and it was in North London, Angel Islington, and loads of people used to turn up there, and then afterwards we'd all go and have a pizza, and that was a great thing because everyone was at the top of their game. They're all doing new material. It wasn't terribly important. It wasn't, if you did 5 minutes and it was rubbish, it didn't matter because we all knew we were good. And then, well, in your own ego way, because you're trying to get into this club of being able to do stand-up, and suddenly you're with all these other stand-ups, and they're saying, yeah, come along and do the material night, and then you're hanging out with all of them afterwards, and other people would turn up for the meal. So that was a great time. I do miss that. Yeah, I'm going to jump at the back. Sorry. All right. Yes.
Comment as-tu appris le français?
Pardon?
Comment as-tu appris le français?
Comment ai-je appris le français? J'ai appris le français à l'école pendant 8 ans, pendant mon enfance, et après ça, j'ai décidé de faire les conversations en France. So this is a question of when did I learn French? I learned it at school. And then I decided when I was going, I did 8 years of school, and then I decided to go back to France and keep pushing it, keep pushing it. If anyone wants to learn a language, like Spanish is obviously the logic for California and the west of America, deep immersion is the key thing. If you're here, you probably won't pick up good Spanish or be able to speak to anyone Spanish speaking in America. You need to go to somewhere from Mexico southwards, or go to Spain and do that if you want Spanish, or Russian. Deep immersion is the key. About a month of deep immersion. It's a nightmare. The initial bit is nightmare, and then after if you went from 0 in a month, you'd probably get to a better place. I'm not sure. Too much. If you're going from 0, once you've learned one language, then the second one comes, the third one comes quicker. Or, and I'm doing Rosetta Stone. I've just worked out how to learn Spanish quickly. But so Spanish and German I have to do next, but it's great if you do it. If you're doing a gig in French, it's just beautiful. It's going online, by the way. It's going to go online in December, so you'll be able to download. If anyone's never done French, you'll be able to download it from my website in December. I do believe because it's going on TV in France. So that's one of the most beautiful things. I've ever done tous les spectacles en français dans un deuxième langue. C'est bizarre, non? Even though you don't understand what I'm saying. Right, that one there.
Did you happen to see
Sorry, I was going, that one there. I'll go you afterwards.
It's actually not a question, it's a tidbit that I thought you might be interested in is the anglerfish you talked about are always female.
Oh, what's it called? The anglerfish?
Anglerfish.
Right.
And they actually, the big ones are females because the males actually burrow into the sides and stay a part of her as a part of mating.
There is no God. I want the males. Dad, how much crack have you done? The females like that. It's just great. But also, seahorses, male seahorses get pregnant.
Yeah.
It's too bizarre to have one bloke working all the time. Yes, your quick question.
Did you see Obama and Romney's comedy routine the other night? Do you have any thoughts?
I saw President Obama talking about Romnesia and that one.
Where they both did comedy routines.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. Did it work?
It was interesting.
Did we win? Have you seen him talk about Romnesia? Go online and have a look at that. The Romnesia thing is very good. The things you get when you say stuff and then you just go back on it. Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, being non-American citizen, how do you feel about the upcoming election?
As an American, well, I think I can make myself clear on stage. I want to go, before I go into politics, I want to try and meet people of the centre left. I know the American centre is slightly different to our centre, but it's all, I just generally think that's where most people live in their real lives. And I just think we should be trying to make it fair for everyone. And if you're in the right, if you're in a party of the right, if you are a Republican, if you are in the, voting for the, or in the Conservative Party, you can't be after trying to make everything fair for people. because otherwise you wouldn't be in that party. You've got to be more like saying, well, I've worked and I've got a lot of money, I'd like to keep that, and if you're having a tough time, well, I'm sorry, mate, because I've made all this money. That's how you've got to be thinking. I've made a decent amount of money, but I want everyone to have the chance. I want to try and make the safety net, but encourage people to build businesses and wealth creators. And thank you, one person tried to clap there. That's where I see the world. I think the world's always been there. Most humans have always been there. Then they're extremists, and they call fuck off. That's how I see it. So I want Obama to get back in. I think it's important also for just from the fact that a black man's got to be a president for 4 years. I'd like him to be 8 years. That would be nice. Quite apart from that, I don't think America should turn around and go back to all that rubbish that the Republicans were doing before. Yeah, shut on the back.
Coming back to the language, being not an native English speaker, how hard is it for you to translate your humor into?
No, native French speaking.
No, I'm German.
Oh right, all right. So
we're not known for our humor, so I have to translate jokes into English. But how hard is it for you to translate your humor into French?
well, I did this cunning thing. I worked out that the difference. This is the theories I've come up with. There was no German sense of humor. Oh, okay. No, I'm actually co-promoting Michael Mittermeier, who has been on stage this night in London, who's one of the biggest stand-ups in Germany. Yeah, you know Michael?
Yeah.
And he's now playing London, and he's doing very well and selling out in London. And so, in America and really other Germans have no sense of humor. This is rubbish. You can't work it like that because it's 80 million people. And you could find a German with no sense of humor, but we can also find a lot of Republicans. Apparently Americans as well. So, even though they work against America. But, what it is human, I believe. It is not national. The Simpsons is known all around the world and liked all around the world. And that comes from America, but people like it around. Same as Python comes from Britain, with one American in it, 4 English guys and a Welsh guy. So it's human. And what is broadly, there's mainstream humor and alternative humor. And if you are in the progressive alternative area, there are people around the world like us, and we are probably the largest group of. We seem like we're sporadic, but we're out there, and we're all thinking positive. We're educated or self-educated. How have we got the education in our heads? We have the empathy genetic. It might be down to genetics. It might be just the people on the right don't give a shit about anyone else. And we do. And we want ourselves to be good. A Democratic guy once came up to me and said, they care about themselves and we care about other people. I said, no, I think we should care about ourselves. We, as Democrats, have got to get ourselves to a good place and then look around and say, does anyone else need a hand? And I think that's how it's going to be. If you're not in a good place, you don't have enough energy to be generous. The people who are on $1 a day to $2 a day, they don't have enough energy. It's gone right off your question, I know. But in the end, if I flip back to it, it's universal humour. That's what I tried to do. And I removed all the very British references. So I don't talk about John Major and Edwina Carey, who was an earlier Prime Minister, who had an affair with, she was one of his ministers, or curly whirlies, which are a type of sweet, type of candy thing that we eat. But I did mention, the Wembley thing at the beginning. As long as you discuss your terms at the beginning as a setup, you can make it into a joke. But I talk about Romans and Greeks and slavery and dinosaurs and Darwin, and it was Darwin and Dickens I mentioned, and that was known to all progressive people around the world. The mainstream audiences would go, oh, I've heard of one of those guys. It won't necessarily be their cup of tea. And my gigs are self-policing. And I'm playing Moscow next year. I'm playing St. Petersburg, I'm playing Kathmandu, I'm playing Helsinki, I'm playing Nepal, Kathmandu's Nepal, Delhi, Mumbai, Serbia, so Belgrade, I'll be in Sarajevo. I'm just going to get out to all these places. And the audience around it, it's changing right at this moment. And this is really exciting. I just did adverts. I said, let's do adverts for each country, because I'm doing English in most of the countries. And then I'm going to learn about 3 or 4 languages to do separately to that. And I said, let's do that. So I did adverts in Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, Estonian, Latvian, Russian, Serbian, Slovenian, Bosnian-Herzegovinian. Those were quite close, but slight differences. Hindi, which was really tricky, and Nepalese. And that was really with the one joke, little line saying, I'm coming to your country, and And do come or don't come, I don't care, but if you do come, you'll live forever. Maybe. And I was working with these translators, all these different Norwegian translators, and each one of them giggled every time I said the funny bit. They sort of giggled because, partly because I was saying it